All right. Good evening. Time is now 6 o'clock. We'll call this special call council meeting on September 23rd to order. Begin with invocation by Councilman Yachts, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Let's pray. Oh God, we're grateful this day is blessed. Lord, we ask you to be with us. We ask you to watch over us. Lord, we ask for your wisdom, not wisdom of the world. We're grateful for all the things you've given us. Grateful, Lord, sacrifices your son made for us. We choose to accept it. We have not accepted, Lord, we pray that someone will. Father God, watch over us, be with us, direct our county, our state, and our nation. And we ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Special call meeting. On here, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion approved.
Thanks for Mr. Brian. Second by Mr. Perry. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7-0. All right. Up first, we have review of the nonprofit grant applications. So as you all know, earlier this year during the budget, we set the funds aside for nonprofits. Historically, in the past, council has made special appropriations in the budget by those that happen to know that they could do that. And this year, to make it more open and fair to all of our wonderful nonprofits and throughout the county, we opened it up to the application process. As you can see, we got plenty more than normally got to apply because they knew about it. I think that was a good route to go, and I'm glad council voted to do that. So I'll open the floor. It says review, but I hope you've all had an opportunity to look through them and read over them. Maybe have questions to ask, but I'm going to the floor if anybody has any direct questions to start with, and then we'll go from there.
I don't necessarily have a question, but I have a comment maybe. The amount of money we set aside is $85,000. The amount that a request we have is 1.4 million. And so I would like for us to look at, to see what we can feel like we cannot meet, or it's something here that someone really have, heavy thinking about that we probably don't need to fund, is that we can exempt some of those from this list to start off with. But those are something I just want to throw out there. I know we cannot fund them all at the amount of money that is said here, and I don't want us to have to turn around and just go forward, go backward.
Did you have a recommended list you want to scratch?
Well, you know,
Or you know. I hear you.
someone else, they might not want to scratch in, so I can go through the.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
you were thoughtful enough to put together a list here that I've reviewed, and I'd like to put that on the floor for in the form of a motion for discussion. The list that you have here lists a group of the applicants at $5,000 and a group at $2,500. And just for the motion's sake, I'll read these out. You have a copy of this. I would like to substitute the bottom one on this list of Davidson Street Baptist Church. I'd like to replace that with the Lawrence Memorial Homes. I'd like to include the Memorial Home even at the expense of the Davidson Street Baptist Church. So
You want me to go over my thought process first, or you want to get the motion on the table?
I'll start right now.
I'll let you get the motion on the table, and then I'll walk through my thought process.
Okay, good, sure. So the list is the Safe Home at 5,000, Museum at 5,000, South Carolina Empowerment at 5,000, Keep Orange County Beautiful at 5, Bridging the Gap at 5, Veterans Assistance at 5, Good Shepherd at 5, United Ministries at 5, Straight Street at 5, Orange County Humane Society at 5,000, PAIA at 5,000, Hospice at 5,000, Lawrence District 55 at 2,500, Crime Stoppers 2,500, Family Promise 2,500, Saddle Up 2,500, Tranquility Point 2,500, Upstate Pregnancy 2,500, Piedmont Agency 2,500, YMCA, that would be a Clinton, right?
Yes.
2,500, and Lawrence County Hall of Heroes at 2,500, and finally, the Lawrence County Memorial Home at 2,500. That's the motion I'd like to make, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion on the floor by Mr. Cribble. We have a second. I'll second it for discussion. So let's walk through it. So we have 26, applications, and the sheet you have there in order from largest to smallest. They're all honorable requests. What I did on this recommended list, this is completely a personal preference. All of those that were at or above the total dollars we were giving, which would be the Joanna project, Lawrence County Memorial Home, which Mr. Cribble did that back at 2,500, American Legion and Clinton Canopy. We only have 85,000 to deal out to everybody. And to ask for, in one particular case, 10 times the amount that we have to give to everybody, in my personal humble opinion, is inconsiderate to other nonprofits of this county. Everybody works hard. Everybody has their different avenues they work in. Same thing on a couple of these others. Just to ask for that dollar amount, knowing that we only have 85,000 to give out. And if you didn't know and you didn't look into what we were doing, then that's another issue. But those four on my list were gone to start with. The highest stat still on it was at 50, which is still 60-some% of the total amount we have to give out. And so from there, with the exception of the change that Mr. Cribble suggested, everybody 10,000 and under in request, I put it 25,000, and everything over 10,000 in request, I put it 5,000, which is a, you can argue the fair and equitability of it, but it does spread the money out to those that requested it inside of the parameters of what we were attempting to do. So that's how we arrived at those numbers, just for reference. But being a motion and a second on the floor, we'll definitely take more discussion on setup.
Mr. Cribble, if I can just ask a question, what is the reasoning behind swapping Lawrence Memorial Home and Davidson Street?
When I looked at this, I approached it from a different standpoint, because Diane and I had been on council at a time when we had to eliminate all of these kinds of things, and we just didn't have enough money to meet our own current obligations. And the fact that I still think that our EMS department is underfunded, maybe we don't even have 85,000 to do this with. The Lawrence County Memorial Home at one time was a purview of Lawrence County, and that it is in desperate need of our continued help as our place of last resort with people who've fallen on some pretty hard times. And that I've been involved with them, I guess, really all of my adult life through the Rotary Club particularly. And that's because I like them. That's part of my reasoning for it.
I would say, and I appreciate that, Mr. Cribble. I like the Memorial Home too. I appreciate all that they're doing out there. One thing I'd say is, you know, when we distributed the ARPA funds, this was 2 or 3 years ago, we awarded them $250,000 in funding, which I do believe was the largest amount we awarded any. Second largest, I know it was up there towards the top, second largest that we funded for any of the applicants that were submitted. I would prefer we stay with the original proposal by Mr. Patterson with the entities that were presented on that list, just because you know, it's also a new one. It's also a church that does a lot for the city of Clinton. So I would, or we leave Davidson Street on there.
If I recall in their application, well, I think that was specifically for Meals on Wheels.
Correct. Plus, I thought they were very gracious with the amount that they requested, which was actually 2,500. So for us to be able to meet that need, I think that would be kind of just request.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Luke, if you would suggest another substitute, I might amend my motion to accommodate that.
I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. I actually kind of like the list that was already compiled. I thought like there was great reasoning and logic behind Mr. Patterson's list. For that's this. I don't think I can make a motion since there's already a motion on the floor, correct?
Motion to amend, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll make a motion to amend that we leave Davidson Street on as presented.
All
I
right.
have some unread and
We have a motion to amend to replace Mr. Crowell's motion, Lawrence County Memorial Home with Davidson Street Baptist Church. Do we have a second? So that motion to amend fails due to lack of a second. So we are still in discussion on the original motion.
What did you say about the Davidson Street Church?
What about it? Mr. Rankin was wanting to put them back on the list, basically. But that amendment failed. So right now, that's off the list. And it's being
Davidson Street is off the list now.
based on Mr. Cribble's motion, and he replaced that slot with the Lawrence County Memorial. That's the current motion.
Might I offer a suggestion? All of these worthy that are getting funded. And I kind of looked at what organizations would actually use the funding immediately to impact the citizens. And so I also compared if they were duplicating a service that was already done with somewhere else, or could they partner with someone else? And one of those that stated they could partner with others, and they were a new agency doing kind of similar work to somebody else that was already doing something, is the Veterans Assistance and Support Foundation. It's a brand new foundation. They're going to work with several other groups. And I think if we're going to fund the Hall of Heroes, what are doing kind of veterans things at 2,500, we funded them at 2,500, put the Memorial Home in at 2,500 and leave Davidson Street.
So just for clarification, Mr. Chairman.
So, Mr. Carroll's recommendation is that we reduce the, make sure I don't use the proper name, Veterans Assistance and Support Foundation. Take them from 5,000 to 2,500 since they're sharing similar goals with the Lawrence County.
Yeah, they're going to
Veterans
partner
Hall
with
of
veterans
Heroes.
organizations
Yep.
like the American Legion, VFW, and et cetera.
So he's recommending bringing Veterans Assistance down to 2,500 and then adding 2,500 to the Memorial Home.
Mr. Chairman, I would accept that as an amendment to my motion.
Okay, go ahead and make that a form of it.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to amend.
So Mr. Carroll making a motion to amend, reducing veteran assistance to 2,500. Adding 2,500 to the Lawrence County Memorial Home. And putting Davidson Street Baptist Church back on the list at 2,500.
Yes.
Is there a second to that amendment?
So,
Second by Ms. Wright. Now we will discuss the amendment. So we can take discussion on the amendment to make these changes, and then there'll still be discussion on the full list after that.
I guess I'm looking at it as, in the past, prior to us doing this grant request this way, we had several nonprofit organizations who most likely, from what we did last year, possibly put us in their budget this year. Only because we had given to them in the past a certain amount. And I feel like, they should weigh a little heavier than the ones who are just putting theirs in, because they hadn't included us into their budget. I look at especially Piedmont aging. The Asian population of this county is the highest population. It is the majority. And for us to cut them from just $7,000 down to $2,500 when they provide transportation for our seniors, they provide Meals on Wheels for our seniors, they provide daycare. I just cannot see us doing something of that nature. Not only them, several others I could point out. I could point out maybe the museum. I know the museum is one that we have been given to. I think last year we gave them 50,000. To cut them down to 5,000 seemed like it's kind of on the hard side to take. So I'm looking at it in a whole different way, and I would like to make sure that as far as Mr. Carroll just stated, that we have 3 nonprofit organizations centered around veterans, that we could possibly see what we can do there to work with those individuals. Especially for Hall of Heroes. That's been going on in this county for the last 10 years possibly, if not more. And we have never given it to them. They've always been able to provide that program without asking the county for any funds. I don't know how they had provided in the past. So, and I still have a problem with some organizations who, and I'll just bring it out as far as School District 55, the separation of state and school and state and church. I think we need to look at that a little bit closer. The school district, the state have extra money. They also had money for vouchers, and if our school district is doing without things that they need to have for the public schools, something needs to be said about it. If they just ask us for $10,000 when the state got that supply of money there, that's a hard pill to swallow with a whole bottle of water. And I think we need to be conscious of what we're doing, because we affect the lives of people. And when you affect the lives of people, you should watch what you do and watch what you say, because it will come back at us. I think I mentioned to this body before we start adding some of these organizations to it, that we, just like Mr. Tribble had said earlier, that we could not fund them. And if we just gonna hand you out just something, just say we gave you something without having any meaning, without having any feeling, and not having any punch to it that it's gonna help you, what are we saying and what are we doing? These are the people of this county. And I think they'll understand if you don't have something to give. But we need to give accordingly, and we need to give correctly in what we are doing. And I think we can do better than what is on this piece of paper. I think I'm gonna stop right there.
Few follow-ups on that, just so everybody's on the same page. The Piedmont Agency on Aging request has been made several years in a row at $7,000. However, their budget ranges between $2.5 and $3 million annually. I don't know that our 7,000 makes as big of an impact as we might think it makes here in our community. I didn't divide 7 into 2.5 million, but it would be a 0.000 something percent. So I don't know that, if their budget was $100,000 a year, our 7 would make a massive difference, but seeing as it's 2.5 million, I would have to disagree with you on that particular one. As far as our previous list of ones we've given to historically, I know there were a few added over the past couple of years, but the long-standing agencies we've been giving money to, I would definitely argue that the museum and the Humane Society would be the two I would pick, that we would continue funding at full level if we were going to do something like that. However, the only way that folks knew to apply or did it was either they've been doing it forever, or somebody called their buddy and said, hey, put some money in. There was no formal process. There was no fairness in who made it in the county budget and who didn't. So I definitely do not agree with the process that has been historically followed. And I apologize that I hadn't recommended changing it before this year. We probably should have changed it, in my opinion, a while back. And then two, on the district office, that money was specifically requesting out of Waterloo School, which should be your district. And it's for their STEAM program that's actually going to take place on the square. It takes place on the square every year, but that's what that particular amount of money was for in their request.
Having the problem of what they say they want the money for. But I do have a problem not being able to, keep my aging, have a budget of, 2 million. That's okay. But they only ask us for 7,000. And I know they provide service here in the county for those more than 7,000 worth of money. I think they just did it as a way of adding to what they are doing.
Well, the only thing I'll say on that is we're fortunate here that we get money from Columbia. They're not in different amounts, but we don't put that in the bottom line to budget off of when we make our budget every year. That's extra money for special projects, which the majority of these are specific projects, and that's what grant monies are for. I don't think that any organization should be relying on, outside of government organizations, should be relying on government money in their regular budgeting process. That's in my opinion. So we do have a motion to amend on the floor still. Is there any further discussion on the amendment, which as a reminder was to reduce Veterans Assistance Sport Foundation from 5,000 to 2,500. Add 2,500 to the Memorial Home at the top and put Davis and Street Baptist Church back on at 2,500. That's the motion on the floor at the moment.
Mr. Chairman, can we not accept the amendment to the motion if the person made the motion and the second accepted?
That wasn't the case, though, or was it? No, that wasn't the case. We're about to vote on it. So if there's no further discussion, we'll take a vote on that amendment. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes 6-0. Anderson not voting.
Opposed.
Opposed. All right, so we're back to the full motion, which is basically what we just voted on. Is there discussion on the original full motion as amended? I'll just say this is very difficult for those of us up here to make decisions. You get 1.4 million in ask and have 85,000 budgeted. It is not easy. Thank you. all of us had our way, we'd fund at least $1 million worth of all these asks, if not a little more. There's some good stuff on here. There's some that have become reliant on government money and might have a shock on this, but what I hope is that as administration continues to budget well, and we continue to fill the required needs of our citizens, we'll continue to have more money that we can put back into these other entities that provide supplementary services to our county and our citizens throughout the year. If there's no further discussion, I'll read the list just for full clarity. So I want to make sure I read the whole things. But the Veterans Assistance and Support Foundation, $2,500. Piedmont Agency on Aging at $2,500. Lawrence District 55 Visual Arts Program, $2,500. Good Shepherd Medical Clinic at $5,000. The PAIA Lower Eastern Cherokee Nation of South Carolina, $5,000. American Legion Post 25 at 0. Crime Stoppers at $2,500. Davidson Street Baptist Church, $2,500. Lawrence County Memorial Home for the Aged at $2,500. YMCA of Greater Clinton at $2,500. Lawrence County Safe Home at $5,000. Keep Lawrence County Beautiful at $5,000. Lawrence County Veteran Hall of Heroes at $2,500. United Ministries of Clinton at $5,000. Clinton Canopy at 0. Bridging the Gap Advocacy at $5,000. Tranquility Point, $2,500. Family Promise of Lawrence County at $2,500. Drake Street Youth Center at $5,000. Let's Saddle Up at $2,500. Big Pregnancy Center, $2,500. Lawrence County Humane Society at $5,000. Lawrence County Museum, $5,000. Hospice of Lawrence County, $5,000. The Joanna Project at 0. And the SC Empowerment Center, $5,000. So that is the motion on the table at those dollar amounts. Is there any further discussion? Here, then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion passes 6-1. Councilwoman Anderson. All right. Thank you again. Some didn't get what they might have wanted, but everybody got something. Hope everybody got something. And I hope we'll continue to work with our local nonprofits and y'all work together on different projects. We appreciate all that y'all do in Lawrence County and look forward to support you in years to come. Up next, we have a item on the agenda to discuss economic development relief in Clinton. As we all know, changed on the date a couple weeks ago, there was a tragic fire on Musgrove Street, downtown Clinton, that burned several businesses and demolished almost a whole block of historic buildings in their downtown. And that was a devastating blow to that community, to the business owners, not just the ones directly impacted by the actual fire, but all those around them, from traffic. They're all seeing a, line and they're gonna be there for a while. And I think it's important that we, look to help them, lift that back up. But we'll elaborate a little more, but I believe that if we look to fund, funds for the city of Clinton, specifically to the CDC for economic relief, I think that there's several ongoing, fundraisers. There's several in the room that are involved in those, and thank y'all for initiating those and working with those that are specifically working with the business owners and the employees who lost their jobs, lost their livelihoods. But this money that we're going to discuss tonight is going to be specifically for the city of Clinton's rebuilding, cleanup, any economic enhancement that they might need in the future. But Mr. Trillis, being your district, I'll let you say a few words and make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had to make sure my microphone worked there. As you said, that this is a particularly needful time, for the city of Clinton, and the point for all of that would be the Clinton Economic Development Corporation. That there are so many needs there, and the actual property itself could be tied up in court for years. I mean, that they may not be able to go in there and even clean it up until, the ownerships are all settled up and insurance companies all sue each other trying to collect from the next one over and so forth. And that, the city of Clinton may need to do other things to, enhance its own operation. So rather than try to, get them to tell us exactly what their plans are today because of the difficulty of that, I'd like to use the time and place that we have today to, and I'll put this in the form of a motion for for Lawrence County, and Mr. Chairman, you and I talked about the fund number. You probably have that at your 156. Is that right, Mr. Chairman? Correct. Fund 156 is a fund that's set aside for Lawrence County Council for economic development. It is replenished, at times during the year, with sources of money from the FELOs. And that it replenishes in January and June, and there's $800,000 in it now. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that the county council commit $250,000 of that money from 156 to the Clinton LCDC to be used for revitalization of their downtown in a way that they see to be most beneficial.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Tribble, a second by Mr. Rankin. Just for clarification, you said the Clinton, or the Lawrence, or the Clinton LCDC, I assume you meant the Clinton.
I can't believe I made that mistake.
CEDC is what you meant.
That's exactly what,
Okay.
the Red Devil version.
The red difference. So we have a motion by Mr. Tribble to allocate $250,000 from Fund 156 Special Projects Fund to the Clinton Economic Development Corporation for the purpose of economic relief related to the fire that took place on West.
Clarification is that's not what he said.
Oh, okay.
I didn't hear any restrictions on it being for the fire specifically. It was to the economic development to make improvements to Clinton as it saw fit. Correct?
That's true.
I apologize for my wrongful clarification of the motion. So it's unrestricted funds to the Clinton CEDC for, you did say something, Mr. Tribble, is it economic relief?
To use for economic development as they see fit. I mean, it's just hard for them to have an exact plan right now. We'd like to be a part of that plan and tell them what from us they've got to work with and provide it to them post haste.
Thank you for catching that, Mr. Carroll. So make sure I get it right this time. Allocate $250,000 out of Fund 156 Special Projects Fund to the Clinton Economic Development Corporation for economic development as they see fit. Good with everybody? Make sure we got the motion right. Is there any discussion?
Yes. Most definitely. So I've got no issue with supporting a community that's had a tragedy. That's what we should do. I mean, we will continue to do that. we don't have an ask yet. We don't have a need. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know what the actual cost will be, or how long it'll be tied up. To obligate 250,000, just a number. I mean, no one's come with an ask. I'm not sure if that's not enough, if that's too much, what that's going for. I would just want to know specifically what we're spending those funds on before we just allocate them to whatever somebody wants to spend.
Definitely, I was just gonna ask, our balance at this time.
813.
Okay, and, what did we have to come in this year?
I'd have to get back with you on that number. I don't have it offhand.
It's a running account. And so I'm just trying to make sure what we got this year into it. I don't have any problems with us assisting Clinton also, with their needs.
Try to find that number for you, but Mr. Sanders. Any other discussion? Wow. The only thing I'll say, and as far as the appropriation, that on the amount and to the direction of it, I think it is a substantial amount that will provide a substantial impact to the Clinton area. And as far as making a decision on what it goes for, I don't have, well, I feel that I'm about as Lawrence city boy can be with Clinton. I don't know that I am justifiably knowledgeable enough to tell them what they need to spend that money on or shouldn't spend that money on. And I think leaving it up to the officers of the Clinton Economic Development Committee, which is made up of many members of the community, I think that is appropriate, in my personal opinion. To answer your question, Ms. Anderson, on the Fund 156 last year. Uh, 265,000 is what FY24 was.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Is there any other discussion of the motion on the table?
I'm like, Mr. Carroll, I like to get idea what they're gonna use it for.
Say that one more time, Mr.
Get an idea of, you know, those names and the 250,000 won't scratch the surface really, but
And I won't speak for Clinton, but things I have heard them mention in conversations when they're talking about what they need to do. One is clean up of the actual site. Of course, Mr. Trill mentioned, I don't know when that will take place. Cleaning up the streetscape because it was ruined in the process. Revitalizing other areas of downtown to draw business back to downtown that might not be on Musgrove Street. I think there's a plethora of different avenues it could go. And like I mentioned, I don't know that I'm qualified on that side of it to say what it should and shouldn't be for.
cleaned up would be a plus as far as drawing business in.
Yeah, so that being said, that I don't feel qualified, I think the cleanup of the damage and getting the city looking back like it was before is where my lead would be.
Mr. Chairman, I just echo that. I think this is a gesture of goodwill from Lawrence County and, you know, just a tragic situation. And when something like that happens to a municipality in your county, you know, it affects all of us, but especially obviously the people of Clinton, they took it the hardest. But again, this is just a great gesture of goodwill. I'm excited for how these funds can be used to revitalize Clinton. So look forward to voting yes.
I think it's what it represents. Basically, it's like, if anybody have a house fire, everybody get behind that person that has had a house fire from all sections. And so that's basically what we're trying to do, is just to ensure that we are here if you need any help.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion passes 6-1. All right, seeing no other business on the agenda. I'll call for motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, right, second by Ms. Clark. All those, please raise your right. All opposed? It's still on.
Yeah. You try. Hey, you want to take your chances.
All right.